You know that Ohio train crash? The contaminated dirt, contaminated liquid? Well, guess what? They've been sneaking it right here in Michigan and dumping it behind this damn elementary school. And right up the road, they've been dumping the liquid behind the middle school. I kid you not. So if you're as appalled as I am, make sure you come back and find out what I did about all this sneaking chemicals across state lines.
Live from downtown Detroit, it's No BS News Hour with my main man, Charlie LeDuff.
Na no bullshit!
It's just it, breaking news. No more bullshit. No more bullshit.
Okay, so no messing around. We have something really serious, as you heard read at the top of the show, live out there in Belleville, right? They're shipping in this East Palestine contaminated soil. The dirt is going to Belleville, and 7 miles away, the poison liquid was going into a deep injection well, a long and troubled deep injection well in Romulus. So really want to welcome in. Thank you for taking a minute, Congresswoman Debbie Dingell. How did we find out that this stuff was coming into Michigan? As I understand it, not even you knew.
So I heard about it from some of my constituents on Friday afternoon, that they may be shipping some of the contamination from East Palestine to Michigan. I immediately texted the governor and asked if she knew anything, and she didn't. I made additional calls. Someone sent me a copy of the press announcement on Governor DeWine's site that they were shipping to Michigan. At that point, I made a significant number of calls to the Secretary of Transportation, the EPA administrator, numerous other EPA people, Norfolk Southern, Republic, etc., about what was happening. And actually, we were able to put a stop to it.
So where's it go now?
So I'm going to tell you why. It's not that simple. So,
okay.
And I hope everybody's going to pay attention to this. Because as you said, the Romulus injection well has a very long and storied history, and somebody that I loved very deeply tried to stop it 25 years ago. And obviously it exists. There are contracts for both the injection well, and it actually is Van Buren Township. Belleville, Van Buren are right there. A lot of people call it Belleville, but the contract's with Van Buren. They're legal sites. They've been certified by the state to operate hazardous waste sites. And EPA also has a role to ensure that it's meeting all applicable regulations. So people aren't paying attention. There's hazardous waste going to these sites all the time. The last time there was a renewal and a lot of discussion about low radiation waste at the Van Buren site, I asked a lot of questions. I insisted that there be town halls, that they assure people that what the safeguards were. Not a lot of people complained, but I made sure that there were town hall meetings. And I think people need to be paying attention to these sites. At that time, U.S. Ecology had assured me they would always let us know or give us a heads up if something unusual, like toxic waste from Ohio, was coming into the district. Republic has subsequently bought U.S. Ecology. I was pretty blunt with them that they did a terrible PR job and should have had far more sensitivity about the nature of this waste. Norfolk Southern is actually, at that point, was in charge of the cleanup site and contracted with Republic for the disposal of the waste. EPA took over the site on Friday. So, exactly.
On Friday?
So once EPA took over the site, well, because it wasn't, technically the governor and Norfolk Southern were in charge of that site until EPA recognized that there were real dangers and it needed they just came in and took it over, which was the right thing to do. But I'll tell you something, Charlie. And at that point, then these sites have to be RECRA certified. Then they have to get the EPA waste that was coming from there. They have to be CERCA, which is Superfund site certified. The Romulus well is not Superfund certified. So I got into more stuff than you ever wanted to get into.
I'm hearing just bureaucratic red tape, nonsense, EPA. You can go back to Flint. What the fuck is going on with the government where we've got so much of it and they're not protecting us?
So, I'm going to tell you something. I've learned a lot, not an expertise that I wanted to develop. But I've had a lot of chemical spills or chemical dumps in my district in the last 18 months. I had the Flat Rock gasoline spill from the Ford plant down there. We had another. We saw there were underground storage tanks from the 40s that caused a second spill in Flat Rock. We got PFAS going into the Detroit River from BASF. We had the McLeod Steel site, which had raw sugar being stored on its floor. That got cleaned up, and we got a Superfund site there. We've got a dioxin plume in Ann Arbor that's been there for 40 years. It took me my last 6 years to get everybody together and request that it be put on the national priority list to be designated a Superfund site. I've learned how to work the bureaucracy. Flat Rock taught me more than I ever wanted to know. And, we are lucky. I want to say this. We are lucky we have EPA in Ann Arbor. And the men and women employees of the EPA Ann Arbor site care deeply, want to help. And I've become quite close to them because of so many emergencies. But in these kinds of incidents, it's the state's in charge. So the state has to, like there have been other times that EPA has been willing to help. Eagle's got to say, yeah, we want you to help.
But
now, the governor was very quick.
the law doesn't say like Ohio's got to notify Michigan. There's no.
No, the law does not say that.
Wow.
Now we're going to try to some legislation's being introduced. There's three issues here to me. One, where should we be having toxic waste sites like this located in populated areas?
No,
like Romulus and Van Buren.
With schools next to them. With schools next to them.
But been fighting this for 25 years. I believe that Ohio will trigger a national conversation that might actually end up in something happening. That's one. But you also have the issue of these trains. And, there were 1,000 derailments last year. Now, when the Van Buren derailment happened last week, I called the EPA within half an hour of learning about it. They thought it was a joke because it's been a nightmare in Ohio. And I said, no, it's not. But they dispense people. We didn't go through the bureaucracy. It's people that have, built relationships. They got an emergency response team, which is in Ann Arbor, went to the site. Nothing had spilled. Everybody made sure, state and EPA, that the car that contained chlorine was pulled off the site and away from the damage that had been done there. But mayors, I'm meeting with my mayors tomorrow night. They're like, nobody tells us when these vehicles, the trains are going through with hazardous materials. Nobody tells us when they're being trucked. And that's one of the things we're going to try to get done at the federal level, that states need to be notified when that's happening.
Can you tell me who owns the railroad tracks proper?
I'm told that, it depends where you're talking about. So for Van Buren, it was Amtrak tracks and a Norfolk Southern train.
So
but it differs wherever you are around the country.
We sort of need that infrastructure all under one umbrella. You're not maintaining the tracks.
Well, it is. It's under the Federal Railroad Association, but these are private companies that are operating these railroads.
Now, Karen.
Yes.
You worked long and hard on this for the past couple of days. What did you learn?
I tried, Charlie, but as the Congresswoman said, it's extremely convoluted and it's disappointing because nobody knows. I talked to leadership at Wayne County. I spoke to Congressman Rashida Tlaib, who indicated she was trying to get answers, as was Congresswoman Dingell from the EPA. But there's no connectivity, there's no awareness. I did learn that while it's authorized to receive toxic waste, there's nobody checking to make sure that those toxic waste are the toxic waste that they're authorized to receive.
Debbie, is that true? Let's ask Debbie, is that true?
I've asked the EPA and Eagle to document that, so we're waiting for answers. I do know that Eagle inspects that site regularly. They've been, this site, Charlie, as you said, some of us have been around. I'm not old, but I'm seasoned. My husband bought this site, and they've been fined for violations repeatedly over the years. They were shut down. And you know what I did Saturday night? I didn't go to bed. I got online and researched everything I could find about the history of the injection well.
Well, you know, it's funny. It's back, you know, when it was that time I was between Detroit News and Fox 2. This thing was coming up, but it got lost. It was a big deal. I wrote about it. This place stinks. I'm going to be honest. It stinks. It doesn't belong around here. But you got caught up in Ficano's nonsense and Kilpatrick's nonsense and the Great Recession, and it just kind of went by the wayside. But we're a dumping ground. For a war crime. Do you think what happened in Ohio, not so much the derailment, but a for-profit burn-off of vinyl chloride that turns into phosgene, which is banned in war by the Geneva Convention, was what they did done for profit, and is that a war crime?
You know, Charlie, I've learned at this point in my life that I want the facts. And there's a lot of misinformation. I also know that because I've dealt with some panic in the last few days myself. I want the facts, but we need to know who managed that. Why did it happen? What are the consequences of it?
And who gave the order?
Who gave that? So I'm very careful to not make accusations without facts, but those are all questions that need answers.
Yes, and it's.
But Congresswoman, if I can ask this, Congresswoman, you know, I know that we're looking at, you know, the process and the bureaucracy, but there's some basic just check items that I think, as you said, you know, wouldn't it just be if it's not a requirement, a professional courtesy for Ohio's government to notify when there's an elected official visiting another city, you know, you notify that official, so that wouldn't that be part of this, or making sure that the EPA is checking off and making sure that these are the wastes that they are authorized to receive? I mean, those simple things that just constitute accountability and oversight.
So these are all simple things that if you and I were in charge should have happened. I mean, the basic politics 101, quite frankly. But no, basic politics 101 was not there, which I communicated to everybody involved. The EPA themselves have said that they've learned a lot, but they didn't know. I'm just giving you the facts because I've really dug into the facts. Norfolk Southern was in charge of the cleanup site. Look, I've done enough of these cleanups that when you get something this messy, nobody wants to take responsibility. Ohio was in Ohio. Ohio had a responsibility, the Ohio EPA, to make sure that this was being done right. But those two sites, so Norfolk Southern contracts with Republic.
Yeah, hold on.
Sites
that's getting too in the weeds. It's real simple.
Okay.
Who allowed the company to light off deadly chemicals?
We don't know. Those are questions that are being, and I'm not an Ohio politician or elected official, but I have asked that question. How did that happen? Who was in charge of the site? But I'll tell you something, Charlie. I've been at other sites where it's not clear who's in charge.
Right.
And who's got responsibility. And there are times that people would rather not take responsibility and point fingers than make sure that somebody's safe.
This is state.
On Friday, I wanted to make sure that we were our sites were safe.
It's appreciated.
So what is the pause contingent upon, Congresswoman, before we let you go? What are we waiting for? And what will determine as to whether or not it stays in Ohio or goes somewhere else, or whether it's ultimately allowed to come into Michigan?
Great question.
So at this moment, it won't go to the Romulus injection site. It's not certified at this point for what some of the things that we're hearing. I think that we've made enough noise and that they're examining who's got the, there are not a lot of storage sites that are certified to take this. So what I'm saying to everybody is Romulus injection well certification is coming up. We should make a lot of noise so that they don't get recertified. And I'm trying to, look, I'm just like you guys. I want to know who's got the authority, what's the process, who do you target, and where do you make the noise? And we need to do that.
And we need to do this. We need Republic, which would they pull it? What was their profit last year? 10 billion?
About, yeah. Just
that
over
was
10.
profit?
The last reporting, yeah.
Was that revenue or profit?
Revenue, I believe.
10 billion. You want to kick in for a couple of elementary schools where your cancer pit is next to?
They should never have been put there.
My God. And Ohio's got 15 of these things. I did my research, digging. Take your own garbage. Take your own garbage. And I want to, well, I will. All right, Buttigieg, take some responsibility. DeWine, you take some responsibility. Everybody take your responsibility and help us. That's why we're mad out here. Now, before I let you go, Congresswoman, 2 quick ones. Alyssa Slotkin, she's in, running for Senate on the Democratic side, raised $1 million in the first day. Is everybody going to run away now? Is this a juggernaut?
No, I know there are a number of people that are looking at the seat. And I think that everybody wants to make sure that I'm a Democrat. And the values I care about, I want this seat to stay a Democratic seat. So we got to make sure that we have a candidate that wins in the primary that can win in the general election. And I think there's still thoughtful discussions going on between other people.
And finally, piece in the Detroit News. Hit yesterday, Melissa Nan Burke. I'll just read the lead. Investigators found lacking oversight, they believe, contributed to patient harm and death and a pattern of substandard care in the surgery practice at Detroit's John D. Dingle VA Medical Center that leaders tried to conceal by altering external peer reviews and other data. I'm quite sure you're well aware of this.
So, Charlie, I'm going to be very blunt. I am somebody who, the veterans are very important to me. I spend a lot of time with them. I spend a lot of time at John Dingle Hospital and the Ann Arbor VA Hospital. I did not know the details, but I knew something was wrong. I was hearing too many things. I went to and I asked him if it was okay if I said this. I went to the Secretary of Veteran Affairs, Dennis McDonough, a year and a half ago, and said to him, there are serious problems at the Detroit VA. I don't know what they are, but I need you to look into them because it's real. And then we got a new director of the region for the VA, and that was the first thing that I said to her. And she immediately they both looked into it. Dennis McDonough came out to Michigan about a year ago, April, to show his concern and his interest. He had planned on going to the Detroit VA, and he had a death in the family. Listen, the leadership at the VA was immediately assigned someplace else. We do believe in due process, but due process means you make sure that every patient's safe. The investigation went forward. You saw that some of this became public. They've had an interim manager that I think tried to very much right the ship. They've had a short-term interim manager for the last 2 months. A new one's coming on next week. I have asked the Secretary of Veteran Affairs to come to Detroit and have a town hall and tell people how these problems have been addressed and why they can be assured they're getting good health care.
We can't get these lives back. So what I'm hearing is I've always had respect for you, but a stronger respect for you because I could see that you're taking the seat and you're not a party apparatchik and you're trying to get real shit done for real people. And I think I hear how you speak. You understand why we're all at each other's throats. It's just nothing's going right. So much respect in that way. But I must point out that you said the former administrators that did this got reassigned. They're still working?
They're on. I've asked this question. Trust me, Charlie.
I know you have.
I got to be careful because we got all these laws and we've got people are entitled to due process. But my job is to protect the veterans that are going to that hospital. My husband's name is on the side of the hospital.
Your husband's a veteran.
And I didn't know the extent. I mean, I need somebody that's better able than me to describe exactly what did happen. It is... it was not good, but it was not. Most of the patients there are getting outstanding care, and now the ship has totally been righted over some of the issues that were there. And I told Dennis McDonough our biggest problem right now is assuring the veterans that they're getting good medical care and they're safe. A lot of, it's the only place a lot of people can get health care. They count on being able
please
to
remind them in
and there are a lot
Washington
of good
for us.
people.
Remind them that we want our children and our elders looked after. And if you can't do that, we're coming. Okay, thank you. I know you got to go to your retreat.
Well, I do, but I want to say one more thing. As we're having this discussion, look, there was wrongdoing, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that. So they can act, but there are also a lot of really good men and women who work at the Detroit VA. I found out about what was going on because people cared enough to say to me, you need to, they wouldn't tell me what was going on, but everybody kept saying, we're not getting complaints. I said, I don't care. There's something wrong. So don't try to appease me. Look into it.
Nice.
So there are a lot of good men and women that care about the patients that they serve.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And, it was really, you asked me yesterday, you're going to be on your way to the retreat. And you said, can we do it in the back of the car? To which I said, if I had $1 for every woman that asked me that.
You're a bad boy. But anyway, I stayed. But
Thank you so much. That's a lot of respect. And
but thank you for caring. If people don't care and don't ask questions, we don't get to the truth. And we got to fight for people.
We have to fight for each other. We do. And thank you for taking that moment because people wanted to know. And it's obvious you're running it good. So I feel better. Thank you, Congresswoman.
Thank you. Be safe.
Now,
bye, Karen.
Okay, bye, Debbie. Good seeing you as always. And you know what, Charlie? There's something I don't want it to be lost here.
Yeah.
Several times she's indicated that things, came to a head because constituents brought it to her attention. I really think that people have gotten so frustrated that they don't speak up. They get on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. But people need to be reminded that they still have power and influence. Pick up the phone, send an email, make your leaders aware of what's going on so that they can, if they want to or are able to, will respond. Like that's part of that accountability.
And the one you always talk about, Karen. Go ahead, Debbie. I'm sorry.
No, it's one of the reasons, everybody says you go to so many things. I go to farmers markets. I want to go to the festivals. I want to be in the grocery store. It's where I get to know people. They know they can talk to me, and it's where I learn what's going on. Yes, talk to your elected representatives.
And there's something that Karen says all the time. Besides getting to your representative, you have to make yourself known about your representative, who you're going to vote for, whether they're full of baloney and give you the talking points, right? They're smarmy and their hair's greased back and they smell of perfume. You got to know if they do the work. You got to know if they're intelligent. So you must vote.
But I'm telling you,
all right, my ride's waiting, guys. I love you.
So long.
For as long as I've known Debbie, she is not a punk. I mean, she doesn't back down. She's just not. I mean, I've known her for a long time. I've been in the room with her, been around the table. And, you kind of look at the personality that's being brought to the position. I always say that if you're a good person, you're going to be a good professional. And so, but I don't want it to be lost. Again, if you see something and it's not right, if you smell something's not good for you, your family, your neighbors, your community,
make them work.
Have to speak
Make them work. Now, that was a great segue. That was a great segue, Karen, because speaking of punks, Detroit Red is out there. Hey, Red, where you at, man?
Yeah, down here in Belleville in front of Roosevelt McGrath Elementary School. And right over across the way, less than a quarter mile, is the dirt dumping sites that U.S. Ecology uses. Which is
Republic. Yeah, on a windy day, what?
On a windy day, you're liable to get any type of contaminated dirt in your backyard, on the playground, on the school, in the driveway. I mean, this is a whole community over here. It's houses, it's a school, the playground's right over here. And this shit's worse than Detroit.
And you know this because you spend time with the local city council person who's been well aware. This been fighting, just like Debbie, been fighting the dumping
Yes.
and the injection well.
The fight's been going on over 20 years. The injection well's been running about 12, which is 7 miles up the road. So basically, we're like on Chemical Alley, if you ask me, and it's
Excellent.
a middle school over there at the Romulus site. It's not that people haven't been saying something. What it looks like to me, and from the information I gathered, is the money making the decisions. I mean, you were asking Debbie earlier about the for-profit. Well, while they made $10 billion in revenue, Norfolk South made 9.7. And if you trace it back, which we did a little homework on, we can trace this back to ownership and investment as high as Bill Gates. I mean, who would think Bill Gates would have any parts of dumping of chemicals?
So it's billion. You said million, but you slipped it. But it's
Billion, yes.
We're talking Republic's pulling in 10 billion. Norfolk Southern is pulling in about 10 billion. Republic, its majority shareholders, Bill Gates.
I think Norfolk in 2021 they had a stock buyback of about 10 billion alone, and they have another 7.5 billion in cash on hand, which is why when they offer millions, people kind of laugh because they know they have this much cash on hand. Because this is ultimately most of the blame goes on Norfolk Southern in my mind.
Well, it does. Well, look, all right, you're the for-profit company, right? But
exactly, yeah.
There's a reason we have bureaucracies and departments and transport,
yes.
right? Like, come on, you don't just leave them to clean it up. You don't leave them to maintain the tracks. They got to be forced because they're for profit. But it is interesting, right, that Norfolk Southern, who owns it?
Yeah.
Who owns it? BlackRock?
Well, in research and all that, it's hard to even really put a finger on who owns what.
No, we know.
And where.
We know because we did this last night, me, you, and Mark.
Yes.
BlackRock is a size of right? Big hedge fund.
Yes, BlackRock, they're number 2, and number 1 is Vanguard. I mean, these are two names everybody knows because they create most of the mutual funds and most of the hedge funds. I mean, talk about people that move markets, it's these two
exactly.
people. Exactly.
And the head of BlackRock is a guy named Larry
Finch.
Fink.
Yeah.
Fink. And he's one of these big greeny billionaire Democrat guys. But then you come to find out, well, you know, what are you doing here? And then who owns these injection wells that you put near schools? The majority shareholder in Republic? Bill fucking Gates.
Well, this is what pisses me off the most, Charlie. Being out here and seeing this is the fact that the money has spoken louder than the community. Like the local congressman told me, he's been to several public meetings. Several of the residents have been to these public meetings over the years, voicing their concerns about these dump sites. And as we can see, the money just keeps pushing the decision to do this right along the road. And in the end, it's our kids and our health that's fucking suffering. And I mean, that's really...
So who's the majority?
When they say shit rolls downhill from the rich, this is where it's landing.
Well, here's the deal, Red. Who owns Vanguard? We all own Vanguard. Yeah. That's where our 401ks are invested through. So you do have a voice in this, right? It's more than just look at my 401k. What's your 401k doing? Right? BlackRock. I'm looking them up, man. They like one of the big... They invest in shit that deforests the Amazon rain basin.
Yeah.
And the guys out there talk about Green New World like it's such bullshit.
It's all bullshit.
JP Morgan Chase, it's bullshit. You guys are bullshit.
They say that because it's good for business. That's funny you mentioned JP Morgan Chase because they're the fourth largest owner of Norfolk Southern there.
I'm aware of that's why I mentioned it.
I know.
And I'll let you know that Larry Fink is on the board of the World Economic Forum or Council, whatever the fuck it is.
Oh, man.
That's crazy, Charlie.
I tell you this.
Yes.
If I was dumping illegally just in my local street sewage, I'd be fined and put in jail by now. Mm-hmm. These guys with all the money pretty much dump their trash where the hell they want, and nobody's doing shit about it.
Mm-hmm. Try burning your leaves. You're driving around.
You're right.
Burning oil and shit. Oh, everybody got to get the fuck in the studio. It's ridiculous. You know what this sounds like? This sounds like COVID, April 2020. Like everybody just got on Zoom. Like,
That's some of the dust I've got in my throat over here.
Well, we sent you out there because it's so coated with weed, Crystal. We didn't think it would affect you, bro.
Hey, listen here. Thank God for the filter of marijuana, because I wouldn't want to breathe none of this shit in floating around out here.
Yeah, man. Poor kids. Jeez, oh, Pete, what are we
Yeah, and I do want to put this out here, even though I'm cracking jokes and shit. And I didn't know it was like this until I came out here. The way they are regarding the safety of our kids is a fucking insult to me. Because the kids is the future. And if you poison in the future before it has a chance to evolve, where does that leave us? Where does this leave the country? The rich are doing what they want, and we just taking all the bullshit.
Yeah, you know, like, it's sort of a comparison since we're talking about phosgene that, you know, killed 85% of the soldiers who were gassed in World War I. When Chernobyl melted down, do you think the public was notified what they were doing with it?
Yeah, right.
No,
of course not.
That's fucking Russia. This is the United States, and we have every right to know everything going on. Right?
Agreed. Yeah.
And that fucking governor down there, Republican, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is shipping his shit up here? No, man. You did that. You did. That's how you guys run your shit. Our shit's fucked up and up already. And you heard Debbie. No one even like Pete Buttigieg didn't even call in Gretchen Whitmer to let her know.
It's ridiculous.
And we got here we go with that fucking COVID 2020 again. Okay. You got to put your hand up. Somebody press the button. Put your electronic hand up. Go ahead, Red.
Mentioning the governor of Ohio, where the fuck is our governor? Where's her outrage that they just blatantly disrespected her seat of authority by not even letting her know shit? Or did she know? And acting like she didn't. I mean, it'd be nice to get an answer.
Karen's hands up. Karen? I like this.
No, I was just saying that's a good point because I called 2 people on the communication staff, didn't get an answer to the phone call or the messages left. That's a good question, Red. I mean, again, when public officials travel to other jurisdictions, they notify that other jurisdiction as a professional courtesy. There's no reason why that same courtesy shouldn't be extended when something else is coming over into your jurisdiction as the leader, if you will, of that area. That doesn't make any sense.
They're all weasels. How many Karen called a prominent politician, director of communication to talk to us, right? And the fucker didn't even want to text because I'm sick.
What?
You know how many people are cashing checks in government not doing anything?
Jesus.
You know what I mean?
Too many.
You know how many people working for these private firms, these equity firms, these railroad companies? You're not doing your shit.
Nope.
You're working for the VA and you're changing data.
That's horseshit.
I mean, we all know it, man. That's why we're at each other's throat. Right? And then you can't defend it. You can't defend your side. You can't.
But it goes back to us, Charlie. We have to demand better. That's why, I shared the email for the Oversight Commission for the Commission for the utilities on Twitter. I said, don't just complain to us. Send these people an email. Let them know that just because your lights are back on or your power's back on, this is unacceptable. We're talking about another storm that's coming. I mean, this is just another version of the power outage.
Yeah,
it really is.
That one's not done. And I never got a word about that from the governor either. So go ahead, last word, Red, then we're moving on.
For those that may be watching this and saying, just another issue, remember this. This is who's really affected in the end. The little ones inside this building here. Because they got to deal with the shit we let stay behind. That's real.
That's real. All right. Demand more. We are going to move on to the north of the Michigan border. We're going to go all the way to Ottawa with Vinny D, formerly of Detroit. And now I don't know what the fuck he's doing in Canada, right? But he's with the Voices of North America Network. He's brought to you by XG Service Group. Experts in voice over internet protocol, phone service, security cameras, hidden cameras, access control, train track cameras. Yeah. There's one for you, Fink. right? He's Norfolk. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Wi-Fi design and installation, drive-through systems, construction cameras, all of it. Anything internet, anything cable,
They'll handle it.
anything digital, they handle it. Call Matt Yaskovitz at 734-245-4100. Feel better, Bernie. Bernie lives over in like Ed's, what do you call it? Poison Alley?
That's what he thought. Yeah.
Yeah, but he still lives.
He's right there.
He
though.
lives next to a dump, and it's
Yeah.
always blowing on him. So I don't know what gave him his health issue. Is either you're too fat, Bernie, or the dust is blowing out. I don't know.
Bernie.
Here's what you do: try some celery and wear an N95. An ADR experienced overseeing more than $250 million in private construction projects since 2001. You might want to call them Norfolk Southern. Reduce your costs, increase your bottom line. ADR save clients millions. Honest, ethical, smart. Call Barry Nantucket 248-318-9424 for a consultation. And of course, this all got me hungry.
Yeah.
You know, at American Coney Island.
Oh, yeah.
You know what Friday.
Lent's the best time here.
Oh, those sandwiches there. I now realize you got to have them hot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They are fluffy. Do you notice? Let me just tell you some things. You notice how the lettuce is green and crisp?
I know. Yeah.
Like, where's the lettuce green and crisp anymore?
Nowhere.
You get that on the sandwich.
0 places.
That's sesame on the bun. It ain't some
It's
bullshit.
legit. It's
I'm
legit.
going to cut the corner because sesames are scarce. Nope. Got to have the sesame. That Pacific pollock. Oh, they don't, you know what I realized? They don't put tartar sauce on it.
What?
It's coleslaw.
Really?
Yeah.
I never noticed.
Yeah.
See, I get them plain, Charlie. Get them plain. That's why I don't like all that stuff.
That's no
I
fun.
get them plain. No, I don't eat all that stuff, but they are delicious. When you can eat something that has no decoration and it's delicious, it's good. The core,
really
it's
good.
delicious.
And you could sit down. It's clean and ruby. You got a great view with warm, or like you're out the door. People will call up and go, I want to get one to go, 6 dogs, 6 fries. I pick up the phone, and I go, just come in, man. We'll have that ready for you in 3 minutes.
Fast, yeah.
And you don't want it cold.
It's a great place.
It's all of that stuff. The roof doesn't leak.
And it's
all of it.
clean. It's
Yes.
clean.
And it's the oldest family-run business, perhaps, in Michigan. No, I mean, it's one of
yeah.
3. It's either Cranes Communications
Really?
or Ford
Yeah.
or American Coney Island.
Coney Island's got to be older than Ford.
It's not. It's got to be Ford. It's Ford.
All right.
Okay, but it's
even
still
if
over
they
100
aren't
years
older,
old.
they're better. How about that? If they aren't
Yeah.
older, you're better.
They ain't shipping my sandwich to Mexico. Tell you that right now. And speaking of which, speaking of the border, I want to welcome it. If you listen, folks, if you're listening, we are on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Like, you got to see this guy. This next guy, you got to look at this guy. Vinny, man. What a pick. Look at this guy. Vinny D from the Voice of North America. What's going on, Vin?
Okay, I wish that there would be some Coney Islands up here. Maybe we should ought to fundraise to get them started up here, because you could sure use that. And these issues you're talking about here, all this border aside, even those are important issues. Those kids, what Red's talking about, Red's getting good at this, Charlie.
He is.
Okay. And you're the one, and Lou was the one that brought me here more. I really didn't want to do this stuff again, but I knew how to do it, and my old lady needs something to do. That's why we started this group.
Oh, you're retired.
Yeah, I was trying to retire, and I've been doing this since I've been 8 off and on.
So let me just tell you who Vinny is real quick. Tell you how I get to know him. Vinny's formerly of Detroit. He moved to Ottawa. I don't know why. I don't want to get into it, Vinny. Don't tell me why. And
These poor guys up here need some help.
you're right, man. He's just smacking around.
He's a great listener. Yeah.
Toughing him up there. So,
Trying.
Vinny's a listener. He pops in now and then he's the guy that said, I got this old Fleetwood limousine. I want to donate it to you. We're gonna go get that. But Vinny, if correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to present you as what you're not, but here's what I believe. You're like a right-wing guy. I didn't say a nut. I didn't say, when you say right-wing, it's a bad word, or a liberal, it's a bad word. I don't believe that. But you're like to the right. You guys are tied into Rebel News. You rabble-rousers, community journalism. And you said you got to immigration problem there, right? They're swamping the
Yeah.
border and people are getting in there
Well,
illegally.
they said that. I didn't say that.
Right. You know, but you were curious, right? Like
Yeah, I was
Trudeau's,
curious.
Trudeau's an asshole. We don't know what's going on with the third party group, et cetera. So Rebel News, right? Right wing, sort of citizen journalist.
Yeah.
They play off the New York Post. And there's a story that Mayor Adams in New York was given money, correct me if I'm wrong, Vinny, given money to migrants that got shipped to New York to go to Canada. Is this correct?
Not directly. He buffers it, you know, like the Godfather would, to a little organization to do his work there. You know, and they hand out the tickets and everything.
So it was cold. Vinny wants to get to the bottom of this. So first of all, Vinny goes to Ottawa and he's checking out the immigrant community. I would say a little bit to your surprise, Vinny, you were like, oh, these are kind of good people, good addition, good working people, nice restaurants, right?
Yeah, not all of them, but they're like anybody else, Charlie. They're people, you know, like you showed that guy with a couple bucks in his pocket and you swam across the river with them. That was, you know, the real, buddy. You're a reporter. You're not a broadcast commentator, you know, but you can write where I can't, you know, I just motor mouth on live and stuff.
What a great
But I try and do it the real.
Yeah, he does. And so I was kind of proud because, you know, you took some video and it wasn't some hit job on the other. You were like, hey, I actually had a good time. I met some really good people. You did a beautiful little film and right?
Yeah.
It's the greatest job in the world.
We try and show the real.
Yeah.
We try and show the real. We mix with the people because it's all about the people like your buddy there. Perkins, he said, we're doing this as a public service. A lot of these people out there, they're doing it for clickbait, for personal glory, you know, and they're just stenographers. Rebel News does some good things, but I don't agree with everything they do, you know. And then when we went there, we showed there was nobody there. They had to go to Plattsburgh to prove us wrong, you know, in the one bus. So they need, you know, one of their people is down there in the border, CC and you know, and Eagle Pass showing in the airport and everything. But it's like it's kind of like stenographer, you know, and they show 47 people getting off the bus, you know. 47 people is a drop in the bucket, Charlie, compared to what's happening down there. And they just did that to show, oh, Vinny and Rohan, you know, they're lying or whatnot, because they got to keep that narrative going, you know. It's like that's how they get their clicks and everything, you know. I don't agree with everything Rebel does. They do some good, a lot of good stuff, you know, like they're in the convoy and everything. But you want to tell the real. You don't want to, you know, just geek it up. Well, one busload of people, you know, the girl went down there to Plattsburgh, and that's mainly because I don't think anybody can go to the border after we did it. I think those police there were, you know, highly chastised for letting us get so close. And because the day right after we went, the day after a political party went there, the PPC is a big shot, you know, right-wing guy. Bernier, he used to work for Harper. He went down there with his news crew and everything. The news crew's asking, how did you guys get to do it? I said, well, we had a slight advantage. We learned from Gordon and Charlie LeDuff how to do this stuff. You know, you guys get in the cops' faces and everything. They're not going to talk to you when you chase down a politician and say, hey, you know, oh, look, I caught this guy in the wrong and everything. You get him on the you'd be nice to him, get him on the hot seat first, like who does, or you, like who used to do, or you do, Charlie. You get him on the hot seat first and then ream him a new one, you know. So this guy there that you covered in Flint, buddy, that guy. What is he vying to be the new Black Lou Gordon, the city councilman up there in Flint? He's pretty good, buddy.
Eric Mays, shout out to Eric.
Yeah,
Mays.
He's good. I like.
He's very good.
I got one right
now.
here.
Now there's a guy, Vinny, right wing Vinny.
Right here, like
look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Keep the lid on now, man. See now, right wing Vinny is liking National Action Network Eric Mays. You see how this works?
It's coming together.
You see, Vinny.
No, I'm more like you.
Oh, you like me?
I'm more like you. It doesn't matter if it's left or right, just so they're working with the people and doing the right thing, buddy. You know.
There you go, man.
Sometimes the left comes up with a good idea.
So you were believing this Rebel News. Oh my God, Roxham Road, the illegal crossing, we're being in it. You believed it because
I've been around too long to believe anything without going to see it. Like
so,
you,
he
buddy.
went to see it. Now watch. This is just an excerpt. This is Vinny and his crack squad at the.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
At the Canadian border, the illegal crossing, also a little bit of a weather report, and you'll hear they're actually talking to Border Patrol, and it's quite good in this way. What do you say, Mark?
It's entertaining.
It is.
It's very entertaining.
All right, let's roll.
Yeah, like Red, you got to be entertaining sometimes.
Exactly.
What do you guys do with that?
Record.
And just,
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were like.
See here, like that's from Poic. If they trust me next to Trudeau, they trust me here.
Unit, so
Oh, no
Okay.
problem. All right,
No
we're gonna come over
Everybody
here.
knows the RCMP does a good job, you know.
we're trying to do our best, eh?
Thank you.
Just like you guys.
Would
It's
not be
hard.
possible to talk to the person
Okay, can we wave to them?
because they would be under
They're so
arrest.
nice, Canadians.
Right.
Yeah, they're under
If you
detainment.
want to have a chat with them, it's
Sure.
better to go in the U.S. and
But when they arrest them, it's not like a arrest. Like, you know, when I got caught, you know, back in the day, coming out of Chinois, you know, in Pierrefonds, Montreal, right? I got caught one time coming out of there late at night. But it was like an arrest. This is not an arrest.
This is arrest for
it's the
detainment.
same term, but
Yeah, it's for
But
detainment.
this is chill out. This is chill zone.
If we can find footsteps or something in the snow,
Footsteps
the evidence of like
of life.
of life,
On life on
we can
Mars.
stay on this side and still do it.
All right. Maybe we should drive around and then go through another area that doesn't have like a big border crossing.
But, I mean, if you look at that snow, I know the snow is kind of new,
Okay.
but it doesn't look like there was like so many people walking here.
No.
Certainly
Like
not.
it'd be a
Thousands,
lot more
thousands.
dirty, and
Yeah.
especially here, it's like slushy. There's no slush here.
Right.
Leads me to think,
It's like tracking
Makes you
caribou.
think that there's no immigrants at all.
yeah, or not very many anyway.
Wow.
Certainly
Interesting,
no
no?
Texas.
Today.
Yeah, but it feels slushy and gross. So you'd think if they walk here, they'll drag that here, and
Nope. Nothing.
Nothing.
Why don't we go and try to find another?
Watch the street. There's not an immigrant here.
It's not an immigrant. Man, it's like we came all the way to the zoo and there's not a single.
No, we went to New York City and nobody's here.
Right? The chat.
It's an unbelievable expose, Vinny, that like nobody's here.
The girl, she can speak good English too, you know, and whatnot. I think she's better than the other one from Rebel, you know. But she's really not a journalist. She's actually the soup lady that's handing out free soup to the poor people down there at the convoy there. And
Oh, I thought she was voice
No, she's
of
not
North.
a
I
reporter.
thought she was your meteorologist.
No.
With the
She's
slushy.
she's a good girl, Charlie. We're going to try and use her for a reporter because she's got that natural gift, you know.
Mm.
So we'll see.
Look at Vinny.
We only pick up on the ones that, you know, we got some Twitter motor mouth with us, but most of them, some of them are old school journalists. I actually belong to the old school press gallery, the Independent Press Gallery of Canada. You know, it's more like a traditional one and everything. So, you know, I don't
there
want
you
to
go.
belong to the Canadian press.
Vinny, are you on Twitter?
Yeah, VNA's on Twitter, but that's usually my wife that's answering you. She's a big fan of yours, Karen.
Oh, because I thought, okay, well, tell her I
No, it's
appreciate
not
it.
me.
You guys
It's usually
always
her
so
that
responsive.
answers, yeah. She reads the Detroit News. I bought her that subscription, you and Charlie, so she got this whole thing's basically. I started, you know, I had the requisite skills, knowledge from being, you know, Lou's godson there. You know, he used to come over the house, and you know, he was like my mentor back in the day. He was treetop tall, you know, like, you know, that he was my hero kind of. You know, I was there when see that thing that Charlie covered it down there with us with the wife Scorpion team in Nashville. We had one in Detroit called the Stress Unit. I'm sure you guys remember that. You got the records
Yes,
there.
we remember. Yep,
And they
we
used to
remember that.
carve, them guys used to carve notches in their gun handles and just, you know, if they didn't like somebody, they just shoot them and leave them laying there. And all that was still going on until Mellis Green, you know, when the Starsky and Hutch beat him with a flashlight there. You know,
I'm sure this is going somewhere.
Yeah, I'm old.
I just enjoyed. I just enjoyed listening to him.
Me
so.
too. I mean, look at the man.
He's fun.
He looks like the Godfather
70
there.
years
It's
old,
all
buddy. I still got
mahogany, the
my-
flags. It looked like he got some horns
He looks
in
like
the.
your older brother, Charlie. Actually,
My uncle.
No, I'm a little bit older than Charlie, but he's like my mentor, even though I'm older. I try and teach everybody here to do like Charlie done that thing he done. Yeah, I'm still alive. I'm doing the news. I try and show him, you know, how he showed he was with the real people sitting with, you know, that's what you got to be. That's why I got my old butt out there on my old ass out there on Wellington Street with all these protesters or something. I'm not as right wing. I'm for whatever idea will work. You know, sometimes the left comes up with good ideas. Sometimes it just takes, you know, financially a
Welcome
conservative-
home, Vinny. Welcome
Yeah,
back
you know, like,
to the
like
middle.
You even said, Charlie, Trump is a mess, but he's done some good things. I look at
He
you know,
has.
the real buddy.
That's true. You could say that about
You know,
every
and I'm not a
administrator.
damn stenographer. I'm a reporter. I'm a reporter and a broadcast commentator. I'm not one of these
I'll be the
journalists.
judge of that.
Well, I try to be. You know, I try to copy.
When the award shows up in the mail, then you'll know.
All right.
It's
So
kind of
you're
like,
getting your reward, buddy. We're sending you that thing, but I don't think it's a good idea to put a mask on the limousine. Look better, like you saw what it looks like inside. It's like a rolling cat house, buddy.
oh, it's a rolling cat house. This limo he's got for us.
I can't wait to see it.
It's got the silk roses
Ooh,
in the jars that are affixed to the table.
fancy.
I know.
That's
Yeah, it's got
romantic.
everything. It's like a rolling. It's like a rolling penthouse, buddy. It's nice.
I was going to pick Debbie up in that, the congresswoman.
Yeah, well, Red. If you go to the Normandy here, think he got a rich uncle. I bet, you know, back in the day, I used to stay at the Yorba. I stayed at the Fortson Hotel. You know, the Roosevelt down there by the
All
old
the
train
finest
station.
places, yeah.
Yeah, all the
three,
finest
yes.
places. So I know. You know, I even threw Red a tip on how to get rid of you know what.
Did you pay
sometimes over
25
there.
cents for the towels? And $5
No,
for
they
the
didn't
key?
have that. They didn't. They weren't that cheap in them days. They give it to you. They weren't the best, but you know the St. Regis is one of the best hotels in Detroit. It used to be. Now it's like, you know, modernized. You know, but some of the stuff in there, you've been in them old buildings. You showed people, Charlie. You know, so you know.
Okay,
It's
I do.
not what it used to be.
No, nothing is, man. All right, Vinny, very good work. Welcome aboard. As I said, I'll let everybody know. Vinny does Vinny. We do us.
Yep.
Sometimes you meet, sometimes you don't. But
You know,
that was
I'm
all right.
glad
Look
that
at
I
that.
got to be on.
Vinny, it was cold, and Vinny got off his ass and was out there looking for caribou tracks and migrants and couldn't find any of them.
Yeah, there's no mass flood. You know, they're coming and it's wrong and it needs to be tweaked and adjusted. And these Canadians need to get rights like American. You know, right now they're getting the rights from the crown. You know, this old divine right of crown thing where God gives the crown the right and they dole it out. We're in America.
This is
you know, we get our rights directly to us.
It's
You
true.
know, that's the problem here in Canada. And these lawyers that you've been at the Freedom Convoy and everything, they know this stuff. But they're not telling Canada.
Vinny, when are you going to get your new King Charles money?
Buddy, I'm going to send you some when I get it just so you see what it looks like. I don't think it's out yet.
Yeah. Is all your money going to change?
No, my buddy, I do American. My stuff's in American
I mean, in
dollars.
Canada, is all the money going to switch over to Charles?
Yeah, pretty soon. I don't think they've done it yet. I don't know.
Are the bills going to be a little bit larger to accommodate his ears?
No, everything's getting smaller, buddy. Even yeah, that's a good one. But everything's getting smaller. You notice when you open up a package there in Detroit, there's not as many potato chips in it as what used to be. You know, they say it's one thing, it's some size, but it's not. Karen did that about the eggs. The price, they're going crazy. And this thing at the border,
Karen,
this thing,
you got a big fan
thing,
up here in the Vinny D house.
Yeah, we need to get more Canadians watching you guys. Like Windsor's right across there, right across
exactly
the river.
why
you know?
we had you on, Vinny. I mean,
and they gotta come shopping in Detroit.
You're known from Yellowknife all the way to Halifax, bro. So it's the reason we got you on here.
That Mexican migrant the Mexican immigrant that started the restaurant there that we did, where I'll send you a little clip about that too later. He's saying about Detroit big time, you know. Oh, I said, what's better? Detroit, he says big time. You know, he goes there to Mexican town and everything. And he says it's scary because of what the news says, but it's, you know, it's still able to go there without getting shot at. You just mind your own business and do what you got to do, you know.
That's right. Just don't fuck around.
And the prices are better.
And I would recommend the combination plate. Mind your own business. And when you go to Mexican town, get the combination plate.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said they got a good Mexican bakery there too.
They do.
And your buddy there, Charlie, the other one, I forget what his name is. You had him on your show. He's trying to show the bakery. No, the one guy, the other journalist or TV broadcaster you guys had on a while back, he's showing some bakery out by him, you know, saying how wonderful it is. And Amy said, why don't you show Charlie and Karen where that's at?
And time. All right, thank you, everybody. Tune in tonight, 8 o'clock on Cuomo. I'll be there in studio. Peace.